Hello, I'm Miss Cat to Mesk. Today we're going to be going through a TGS replay. It's been a little while for a variety of reasons. A few things to discuss before we quite get into here. First of all, this may just crash. I have no idea if it's even going to work. You see, Blizzard Entertainment, proprietors of the term Blizzard Polish, which, of course, Blizzard Polish, as we've all known throughout the last few decades, is synonymous with untested horseshit, has been fucking around with Warcraft 3 again and again and again, because fucking it up over and over and over in this perpetually flushing toilet just isn't enough for them. They also need to publish all the, the PCBs or something like that. All the debug build of the game, debug assets. You know, maybe like, 40, 50 different in-house tools or something. They also all publish those to the PTR through multiple versions of patches, by the way. This wasn't cleaned up for a very long time, and even at the time of this casting, I don't know if it's been cleaned up. So, we have all been experiencing the crazy performance bug because, well, as you saw in my last recordings, even in the replays, we were getting insane stalls and stutters. There was a version of the game a little while ago where this actually disappeared, and it seemed like, for once, the game may actually function. But then they updated the game and they improved our experience. They enriched our game to the point that I think like over half the maps crashed partway through now. Quantum Menace couldn't actually even start the game for months at a time. And there's just crazy bugs all over the place. For example, you can't host a custom lobby with a map in it unless everybody has that map. Because when they attempt to enter that lobby, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. You have to manually send that file over an FTP to your players before hosting it so that they can join, because it won't automatically download it. It won't even get you into the lobby. It's not like you're given an error or something. It just doesn't work. And then sometimes it corrupts the lobbies and you don't see any of the players, so on and so forth. The bugs are more numerous than that, of course. There's been issues with some of the internals that they've fucked around with at the Diffusion Flare and some of the other spells within TGS. Their trajectories and velocity and everything is fucked, and is probably still fucked to present day. Shit's fucked. So, I don't remember when my last recording was. It was certainly some time ago, as I have not really been doing too much casting in general, and where I have been doing casting, it's been mostly either a developer-related commentary for Apex X, or it has been Naraka Bladepoint commentary, or earlier in the year it was catching up on my Heroes of the Storm stuff from 2017 and beyond. So it's been a little while. And the map has seen a few changes since then that we will now go through. Keeping in mind that now everybody, as far as I know everybody, is beholden to the performance problems only I have had for, 2 years now? Year and a half? That Blizzard Entertainment introduced into a game that, for the entire duration of its lifespan until they started outsourcing it to Malaysia, has never had any performance problems with me on hardware that's 4 or 5 times its spec. Okay, Warcraft 3 at minimum spec is pretty bad, but you weren't getting stalls in empty maps like this until Refunded showed up and they started dicking around with it even more. Why they don't just roll back to prior to Refunded, write off their losses, and save themselves this unending fucking embarrassment, well, that's because Blizzard is all about doubling down. As opposed to admitting they fucked something up and correcting the mistake, they would rather just keep making mistakes as to gaslight people into thinking that the original mistakes actually weren't so bad after all. Kind of like how the Canadian government runs things. So we have a 4 versus 4, an actual balanced game here. We have File Lolly, Rainbow Twiddle. We have Ricky Honojasu, who, by the way, is French. We have Quantum Menace, who can finally run the game after so many months of being unable to even participate in the game events because Blizzard enriched his experience too greatly. And on the right side of the map, the right way, we have Stick of Poonag, we have Higgs, we have myself, and we have Hizzalot. So, because nobody had any fucking idea what these abilities for these same skinned heroes were, HKS has added some extremely helpful tooltips, such as Jump Man and Eat Man. Extremely helpful. What a pleasant guy. Yes, at least one of them is in T-pose for reasons unknown. Why it's just him, I don't know. No such tooltips were added to these fellows because the Alliance are hugging trees. And if you've ever played Naraka Blade Point, you know that all trees deserve to be burned down and urinated on in precisely that order. So, it is worth noting, I think, for at least half of this game, I was either eating or AFK and dealing with my grandmother. When was this? This was yesterday, right? Yes, there was an incident earlier in the day that, let's just say that we could star on fecalfunny.com if we really wanted to. So, we're going to have some strange behavior in this, like Thigh Lolly is going to go caster, but build as a tank, and that's going to confuse me at least once. Ricky will do what Ricky always does, and Rainbow has also fallen into this cookie cutter physical range plus Frost Nova. I think at least 2 people, probably 3 people on their team take Frost Nova because point and click LOL, as you can see. And yeah, that's not at all irritating at all. Whereas our team will be kneecapped by the fact at least 2, maybe 3 of us will go physical damage with some spell support, and then Hizzalot will pretty much go hard support. Pretty much exclusively. So, yeah, I was playing Naraka all day with Mucky prior to this when I was free to do so. And HKS tried to make some last-minute changes to the map. So amongst those last-minute changes, I'll actually pause this for a moment because I think this starts off violent pretty quickly. I'm actually AFK at this point. As you can see, they started without me. And so one of the things, we had a few discussions, obviously throughout the videos, but also with the individuals, and we finally managed to actually get some changes in. Some of the items that were on here got shoved down here. So obviously the top lane having the bulk of the map objectives means that the bottom lane really isn't that useful. On top of the fact that the Hydras generally are better at pushing than these groups of units, even when they have the other units in them. I've mentioned that a couple of times. Now, Sticka Ponig has also said that perhaps one of these 2 dudes should be brought down to the bottom as well. As for where they could go, you got a little space here. I mean, if you leave the Earl here, that's fine. You could put Krabnar perhaps down here. Or yeah, I think that might be a good spot. This might be a little too close, maybe up here or something like in one of those corners. So yeah. So Life Drain and Mana Drain were condensed into one ability, but they don't scale off of the int spell damage because there's no idea how the triggering system actually works for that at all. So the Life Drain portion is not really that strong. The Health Drain, or the Mana Drain, is alright. And there's probably been a lot of little changes I don't really recall. Why HKS hasn't gone through the process of fixing all these fucking coral doodads, I don't know. But honestly, it makes my eyes bleed. I'm trying to think. There might have been a couple of other changes I don't really remember. I think Fairy Elixir is still bugged, and he couldn't really figure out why, because, well, in a typical Warcraft 3 fashion, nothing should be bugged on the surface, but it is. There's still going to be oddities like the Horde can revive some units that they shouldn't be able to because of the really awkward tagging system that Warcraft 3 uses, on top of ridiculous amounts of hardcode, Blizzard's favorite. So Q is going to go like tanky into mirror image. And their team's going to be a little pessimistic. Actually, Q will probably be like the least threatening of them all. Whereas our team is going to basically spend the first half of the game doing nothing of any real value. One of the items that was added to the game, or rather, an item that was that was adjusted, was a where it's like Stig suggested giving it a passive cleave, so that's what it has. I don't know if this was mentioned in earlier casts because I don't know how many years ago that I made them, but the aura items now are baseline level 5. The auras that they give. The starting levels for auras are more powerful than their earlier ones used to be, too. Some other changes were proposed, like refunding skills and stuff early on being less punishing and stuff like that, but I don't think HKS has gotten to do any of those yet. So our team is absolutely worthless. Completely worthless for creeping early on. I didn't even look at the builds of what anybody was doing. I just clicked Sylvanas and I think I went back to eating or something. And yeah, I've been doing physical the last few games. I think I've lost pretty much every single one. Maybe won once. I don't know. Some of the games have been kind of imbalanced, though. So HCAS is gonna go like, life drain. Frankly, oh, and cluster rockets. I used that too, and it was worthless when I tried it. Because the damage numbers on it can be high, but it's like RNG dependent. So he's also pretty harmless for the most part. Whereas the enemy team is going to have a lot of burst and control up front. And yeah, it's pretty stacked against us in basically every regard. They're going to creep harder than us. They're going to push harder than us. And in hero fights, they should pretty much have an advantage the entire game. In later game, Hauzelet will slowly become more annoying and difficult to kill as he tanks up, but I like that across all these versions of the game they still haven't fixed the double message. What are these fuckwits doing with the game? Like, holy shit. This is just typical standard Blizzard fare. It's been this way since the very beginning. It's written this way in the holy word of God. They are just maliciously incompetent. And on that note, HKS has streamed to me the entirety of Diablo 4. And that is one of the worst games I have seen in a very long time. Like, you can't convince me that isn't some shitty Warcraft 3 adventure map. Kind of like some of the things you might find in like Hive Workshop or something. Like, it's the cinematics, like every single transition for cinematics in that game is fucked. Like hopelessly fucked. The Miyazaki sliding chicken, the Miyazaki sliding Lorath in the cave or whatever, the AI shutting down randomly, just stake sending Unicode that doesn't exist. And yeah, you can see my FPS just, we're getting some of the lag in the replay. It's a little better than it used to be, and it's certainly better than it was in the game, but you can still see it chugging quite often. Very, very sequentially chugging. And it's not the weather particle. I mean, they did update the popcorn middleware, because if you weren't aware, Blizzard pretty much uses middleware for everything. Maybe the new version of that is fucked. You know, it just wouldn't surprise me. Why fix what isn't broken? Well, because how else are you going to push microtransactions? At least they changed the color of the menu back to normal, so that you don't feel guilty for not paying an extra amount of money. But but now the main menu, when I launched it, runs at like less than 10 FPS. Didn't I mention I'm on a 5950X now and a 7900 XT? Like, this should be capped and never moving on my hardware. Just no. just no. So the earliest stages of the match are a little calm here, other than Ricky killing himself unceremonious. I don't think we'll get death messages unless we put it on his thing, because the replay system for this game is those. You know, they could have fixed a lot of that kind of shit, right? But that would actually entail someone on staff having played their game before. I can't get over this. The stalling is worse than what the FPS counter. You can see it literally just freeze. It's not just the FPS dips, it's like we literally hang. And it's so much worse when you're actually in the game. So, the creep minion aggro is kind of... I don't know if it was HKS or it was High Zealot that was using Farsight, but that was used quite extensively just to make people nervous about being spied on. Q is having some troubles here. See, well... oh yeah, you may have noticed. Another thing Blizzard fucked up. The portraits are wrong. This isn't the map, this is Blizzard. The portraits are fucking wrong. So it's not for every unit. It's look. It's just like how I always wonder how these insane, obscure bugs occur, and it's because your game is a rat's nest that nobody can decipher. This game was probably made in COBOL. The far sight. So Ricky is French. Ricky has been subjected to the... I don't know if he knows why yet, but there was a trigger in the map that had very specific conditions for Ricky encountering the Erdl, and he never figured out why. It was actually an educational mechanism, but it didn't seem to be in there anymore, so it's very possible that people just gave up trying to educate Ricky, because he can't really be saved. As you can see, the live train is not very good, but... it did save his life, because Ricky had no mana. There's a lot of things in this map I wasn't aware of that was going on in the background. So another thing, I thought this worked before, but it doesn't anymore, or maybe it never did. But Incinerate and Critical Strike are bugged. And I will think I unlearned Critical Strike, or Incinerate, but I end up unlearning Critical Strike instead, because one said Q in the hotkey, but it wasn't. Or I misread it or something. So Ricky is getting pooled 100 gold and 100 gold I don't know if he's taking mass teleport or what. Oh yeah, we died down here because they both have Frost Nova. Thigh Loli will always take Frost Nova and always take Soul Burn or whatever it is. Because it's the only silence that still exists. And it's pretty brainless. And the thing is, though, is that he doesn't really build spell damage, so... I will think he builds spell damage, but he doesn't. And since Critical Strike doesn't work, and I max out Critical Strike first... I will deal basically no damage the entire game until the very end. And even then, it'll still be behind everybody else. So we can't really contest them taking the jungle because nobody in our team fucking does anything. Except for Steak is kind of going a build. Oh yeah. I guess we never casted that because HGS just showed me a video, but he did change... Commandora? Did he change Commandora? But he went like an auto attack build, Commandora, True Shot, something on Gul'dan, and he had like 150 base damage bonus or something quite early into the game because of the experience differences, because it was like a 3v2 and he got very far ahead in levels. And they fed him a lot of kills and a lot of money, and he got really stacked really fast. And then he got picked up an axe, and he was basically like 3 or 4 shotting people. So that led to the note that maybe in those cases you shouldn't get a huge experience bonus just because you're down a player. So HKS spent an extraordinary amount of time trying to figure out how the experience multipliers actually work in Warcraft 3, because it's not as simple as it sounds, until he finally got his system together that I think you get like a slight advantage when you're down a player, but it's not tremendous because you are getting all the money, right? Like, because the money from the creeps is divided amongst the players, and it does even out later on. So, but the advantage was substantial, like 6, 7, 8 level advantage towards mid game is very significant. So that's one of the major internal changes. But the map is certainly kind of at the point where it's like you're often asking yourself, why are you bothering with Warcraft 3 anymore? With the amount of effort that's been put into this. Well, it would be a substantial amount of effort to make something independent. It has been my thought to recreate Lowlands of Legends, but probably mechanically more similar to like the playstyle would be more similar to like Smite or Paragon, I guess, because it'd be third person. It'd be using my existing combat system, but obviously that's something I'm not gonna do. The time investment would be very high for the amount of work overload I have to do elsewhere in my life, and the situation that my life is in prohibits me from taking on large-scale projects like that. So, but it does feel like, because what the map kind of needs at this point, I think, really is like more abilities, more skills. But the kind of abilities and skills that it needs, things to like, give like creep damage and stuff like that, it enters the point where you do need to enter a lot of custom triggered shit, which is, in a word, really gross. So you end up investing a tremendous amount of time into learning these proprietary systems that are very buggy and awkward and full of hard code and weird restrictions. And to even get them out to the point it has been now has been an investment on his behalf that no one should ever realistically ask of themselves to deal with like a mod or a map or whatever. At that point, you're definitely better off doing it, especially at this day and age. You're just better off doing it in a custom game engine. Either your own engine or something like Unreal. And, yeah. So there's kind of like a bit of a push back and forth for that, and it does feel like that's kind of like what the map wants at this point. Because you'll have noticed, just even within the casted videos, that aside from when Q does something oddball or I do something oddball, there is extremely little build diversity. So that's something we've exposed. Is obviously the original map, it had more builds, but they were really stupid gimmick shit. Like using Divine Shield to solo buildings, using Earthquake or Death and Decay to destroy buildings from down here. Like, you could do more things, but those things were all extremely unhealthy for the map, and they were very, very frustrating to play with, or they were something that existed as a stupid band-aid to solve another problem, like sleep. Sleep existed because Divine Shield lasted for 40 fucking seconds, so the solution was to sleep them. Now you needed an ability, and you needed to police this thing because the existing ability was just dumb, right? So why the fuck would you do that? Just remove the problem instead of adding in more problems. But when you did this and you realized, wait a second, like 80% of the map at this point is just either useless or just extremely, you know, for lack of a better word, toxic. Then you realize, well, you need to kind of like reapproach the whole ability system, which you can't easily do because of all the hard code. Like, for example, an avatar without spell immunity has been brought up, but spell immunity is built into it. So now you start talking about triggering everything. Yeah. It's, that's the situation I feel like the map is in right now, where it benefit most from increasing build by diversity, but now the requisite for time substantially increases. Beyond the ability things, obviously we enter a situation where there's such a massive difference in power between, you know, spell damage and physical damage early on, in wave clearing especially, but in all parts of it. This evens out as it comes out later on, but early on it's very massive. So how would you balance this out? One of the things you can do is create a steeper curve where early level direct damage spells like Frost Nova in particular, but all of them would have less damage early on and scale up a little more slowly up to where they currently are at level 10. So if you had a curve that goes from 0 to 1, with 0 being 0% to 1 being the current 100%, if it was at like 0.5 to 1, you would lower that to like 0.3 to 1. You would hit that base value and force spellcasters to get into abilities early on if they want early damage, as opposed to going for early tanking items that they currently do. And also force the early mana regeneration to actually have a trade-off. In other words, relying more heavily upon the bonus spell damage you get from Int, especially until you hit like level 9, level 10. I also think that the experience for the map overall should probably be reduced a little bit. We are at 19 minutes, it's 4 versus 4, and we're already seeing players level 10 and higher. And I don't know, it just feels a little fast when the cap is only at 20. So there was some things here where I thought we were gonna fight these, and I think Steak thought we were gonna fight these, but Hyzealot ran away and he had no mana, so we died miserably. And HKS died to Rainbow. So we were definitely losing this match pretty badly at this point. I have 2 kills I've picked up. My CS is actually the highest of the team for reasons unknown. Mostly Incinerate. I mean, it is almost the highest in the match, but they have like 5, 6, 7. So they have another 5 kills over us, which is pretty significant. That's a lot of money. Now, we did end up killing someone in the middle of that, but of course, currently, the main way this map is played is by clearing the creep camps for the first half of the map, and as aggressively as possible to push the early upgrades as hard as possible, so your minions push a little bit harder. So right now, what that means is that they're getting that +2 melee versus our +1, and they're getting a few of the other ones a little sooner as well. As a result of this, plus the minions spawning, is we're going to be pushed for a large chunk of the map. Now that does feed us some money, which is nice, but obviously if we can't leave our base, there's a few reasons for that. First of all, our wave clear is bad. And we can't leave our base, then we can't actually really spend that money very easily, because it can be dangerous to do so. The minion waves that they're going to get are going to become increasingly powerful and difficult to deal with, especially because we have no wave clear. And yeah, in our team composition explicitly, it's actually not great to be pushed against the whole time. So we want to try to get in some kills while we can. Eto bleu. The March of the Frenchman. Now, of course, the thing about spellcasters is it's infinitely safer to do this kind of thing than it is melee or physical ranged, because they have to stand there. They can't just poke and run away. So the way that the power budget is expressed is also very different, because spells are instant damage, or I mean they're damage over time, but it's actuated instantly, even in the case of like acid bomb or whatever. So they can afford to be squishier when they're just creeping, because they're just going to run. Or they can spawn summons. Summons are definitely the most powerful way to do it currently. So they're just destroying the hydras and shit like that. I'm not sure our team can actually kill the hydras without at least 3 people there right now. And it's just mines everywhere. The mines will actually kill some of them when they spawn too. And yeah, it takes us a long time to actually get up off the ground. Since I will keep incinerate I think the whole game, I ended up taking the cat paw first, which is gonna cut into the budget for an axe, but I decided to stack incinerate, and I'm gonna attempt to do wave clearing as physical in this game. It's just gonna kind of like end up like that, and it actually won't be too bad later on. Early on, my base damage isn't really that high, but as you can see, I did take we get True Shot aura from this. This is a level 5 aura off of this, so it's not that bad at all, actually. That's kind of what makes this build sort of possible. And I grabbed a couple of shittier items, including a Crown of Kings, and I will eventually pick up Command Aura, I think. As you can see, however, for actually clearing this shit, it's very difficult. And Ricky died somewhere. We are not getting kill notices at all, you notice that? I'm pretty sure this is where Ricky died to the Hydra hatchling or a Hydra or something somewhere. And we don't get the notice for that, because maybe because I swapped off, or maybe it's just completely bugged. I don't fucking know. Blizzard polish, man. But as you can see, I have to work substantially harder, and I mean, I have like 2 mid-range items, an aura item, some other weaker items. I have bash, I have crit that just doesn't get used. And there's a massive power difference. Also, Incinerate's bonus damage does not apply in the way it describes. It doesn't really increase your damage that much per stacking. But the splash on it can be nice because it does scale up over your levels. And I think it caps at about 260. So that starts actually clearing minion waves a little bit. Not nearly as good as spells, but it is free. You know, well, free if you discount the cost of critical strike, which is kind of mandatory for these builds normally. I have bash, which is kind of the alternative. So everybody is kind of like caught on to how the map is played at this point. Hey, look, it's 3. The double chat message added the 3 that I needed. I wanted to talk about her innate ability. I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. it's kind of worthless. It turns a minion into neutral hostile, which means you can't use it for creeping at all. And I find a lot of the times I use it on minions, they just keep attacking me anyways. But it does help me a little bit here, where we just turn this wizard into an angry wizard. This orb was applied the wrong way. Big Bad Voodoo is used here. Immediately gets Thyloli killed. I'm gonna turn down here and shoot Rainbow Dash, and that heal is gonna keep me alive. So our duo works out pretty well here with the the Dreadlord Sylvanas. And yeah, we ended up killing them, so that worked out. Good setup from Hizzalot there. Ricky escaped, however. Very, very shameful for Stake to allow this to happen. HKS is fighting lobsters. Now, he does have spells. It's just... their damage is not very high. So... he is... he's kind of, yeah. Yeah, so one of the things I kind of noticed is that the golden come is not enough to cap out your spells at this level for that level. So like I said, my critical strike is the highest, but everything else is very, very low. Oh, HKS was about to die for sure if they did just randomly lose aggro. And a part of that's because you keep leveling so quickly, but you don't really get a lot for it. Yeah, I felt like if the levels came slightly slower, I would say like 15-20% slower, it would help kind of like even the builds a little bit, so you can actually level like 2 skills at once. Because and also like that would also free you up for buying items like mid-range, low-range items. Yeah, now we're getting the notices. Stake narrowly escapes. Stake is kind of beefy boy. Thyloli is still very unregarding of his safety. Imagine if his lot had a single offensive skill. He would just be dead. Or if Stake dropped another little infernal on him. Stake wants to grab some minions here, but Team French is... oh no, Hizzalot. It's going to apply armor to himself. It's not really a lot, but he's probably fine. Q doesn't really do anything. He's just beef, so he doesn't really have any kill threat. Ricky, on the other hand, will just Frost Nova him forever. And Q tries to get us around on there. They're getting him kind of low. Trying to get him in. I felt like that didn't hit. At least it just didn't do that much damage. Oh, they finally got him. He died. What a shame. Meanwhile, Stake just took a bunch of the minions here and then left. So, the upgrades are 2, 2, 2. So we kind of even it out a little bit. Some of the pressure kind of alleviated on us for the moment. But anytime I encounter Rainbow Dash, I'm generally going to die. Because, well, he didn't take Incinerate, so he does like twice the damage I do. And he also has Frost Nova. That said, Ricky is French. I can't do attack Ricky, but... Steak picks up some easy kills. Some peasants over here. Ricky is preparing for the worst already. Building towers inside the main area. The air is very dry. So I gotta take one of my only surviving cough drops. Oh, Steak died. He got point and clicked. So, Hizzalot has plus 69. That is nice. There's some mines over here out in the middle of nowhere. Ricky revives. Very oddly enough, Ricky actually bought items. That is very abnormal. He was feeling under the weather, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I feel like that may have had lasting effects on him. Severe brain damage. I'm not really sure what Thigh Lilies do. Oh my god. This game is really stupid. Ricky's gonna start sending down these little units here. They did not receive the damage bonuses to them that the default units did. And they also still give bounty, so Ricky is basically gonna be feeding us money. It's very helpful of him. So, Incinerate will start being useful at this point because I'm level 19. I don't really do a lot, but I did pick up an axe, so it's better than nothing. It seems like Ricky got hit by me, but it didn't actually do any damage. Because Incinerate also fucks with the projectile collision sometimes. Maybe it was a miss from the ramp or something. No, see, there it is again right there. You saw that? Watch his health there. It just didn't hit him. It did nothing. So I was wondering about that in the game, but I couldn't really confirm it. So now we did confirm it. It is just straight up bugged. Possibly because it's set to artillery or something like that. I'm not sure. It's not a tracking projectile, so that's probably what's breaking it, because Warcraft 3 is funny like that. I have mentioned that before, but I thought it was fixed. So we don't really even see the explosion that well in the replay. I feel like it was more visible before. But you can see it's getting in some wave clear now. That said, that's no crit. It's just base damage. So actually killing players is pretty hard. I am, however, very, very high in the creep score for some reason. I think that's in part because they've spent more time doing the camps than they have the waves, though. So again, Ricky gets shot, takes no damage, and I felt like I should have killed him there for sure, but it just didn't really happen. So I was contemplating going into harass with this, but I didn't really know what the time was, so I just decided to push the wave out, and then I was going to leave at this stage. So we depart. We got a little bit of a push in, not much, no damage or anything. But, Snake has appeared and found Rainbow Dash. Fists some jizz at him and kills him. That corner seems to be a hot spot for people getting jumped and dying. Whereas down here, it's like the random wife. I'm a coked up gull diddler. So Ricky is assembling his army for this holy battle against the turtles. There's me thinking I was unlearning the thing. I thought it said Q on it, but it didn't. I don't think. I have to look again. Because I definitely misread it. I'm sure. That ability would surely not say Q and fool me like that, would it? So the turtle's got a few nibbles in, but Ricky's frankly, I don't know what Ricky's doing, but he has a plan. Trust the plan. He's very French. I don't know what he's doing. Microing peasants, possibly. Whatever his plan was, at least the Hydras aren't going hungry. Okay, well. Let him cook, let him cook. Got him. Alright, alright. Now he's just got the big one. They do regenerate health quite quickly when they're idle. The Hippogriff is lending emotional support at the very least. Okay, alright, alright. Go back in. Okay. Oh no. There are two dramatic battles going on right now. HQ's died. Oh no, Ricky. Oh my god, it's the Hydra hatchlings. Oh my god. Throughout the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 games or so I can remember of this, the Hydra hatchlings have killed people dozens of times. Mostly Ricky. Sometimes Thigh Loli. Sometimes HKS. The Hydra hatchling has killed so many people. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the map, they're still pushing pretty hard overall. And Q is not really having a huge impact on the game, but we don't really get kills on him. He's pretty slippery. So he's kind of just a nuisance for the time being. But that nuisance kind of becomes intolerable later on when all the images are super fat. However, the farthest sight sounding has killed the mines. Well, those mines can do a little bit of damage still, even though they've been nerfed a little bit. And they can kill the minions pretty easily. So they are still ahead on upgrades overall, but at the moment it's not enormously ahead, but there is that spike at level 4, level 5 that can be really bad if you're behind at that point. They can lead to a really big swing because the minions start doing like twice as much damage as yours do. One of the big things to note, however, is we have quite a few auras on their team. They have a few auras here and there, but most of them are from items, I think. And but we have like endurance aura, and we'll get command aura. Maybe on 2 people, I'm not sure. And this makes minions, and especially the demolishers, do a lot of damage. So our pushing power, even though we don't have wave clear, when we actually get on the buildings with demolishers, is very, very, very high, as you can see. Like, even the Kodo Beast is going up to like 100 base damage with that, which is pretty high. So if we are allowed in their base with units, we melt shit. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash died somewhere. That said, they are getting like a lot of minions, a lot of the creeps, so yeah. Just start collecting money from Ricky. He's being very helpful in handing us money here. So yeah, demolishers are doing quite a bit of damage here. So things are looking pretty good for us at the moment. We ended up killing Ricky again. Demolishing more buildings. A couple mines here eating a few shots from them, but they're melting shit. These dudes are going to spawn. The demolishers are still pretty frail, so they'll pop pretty easily when the minions are on them. I try to get rid of those minions when they pop. But our push is slowing down a little bit. Meanwhile, inside of our base, the opposite is happening, where their minions do have an upgrade advantage, and they had a couple of pretty strong of the camps in here. So even though those demolishers still do a lot of damage, they were overpowered pretty easily, and thought Loli might have been over here as well. So we take out a couple of buildings, they take out a couple of buildings. The trade is most certainly in their favor, because we still have to clear this out, and this is already being cleared out. And they definitely have more money than we do overall, but if we look at the creep kills, it's actually very heavily in our favor. They'll have more camps, but Steak is starting to catch up in kills, and I am tremendously far ahead of Ricky. So the income for us is going to start increasing a little bit as now I actually do some damage and get in some splash, and that's just going to be funneled directly into replacing the buildings. So the bigger issue is that I'm not really able to secure any upgrades to my inventory for a little while, mostly just because I have to kind of like run around all these spinning plates. Because yeah, we still lack wave clear, so I'm kind of like our wave clear at the moment. So I went up here to intercept these high-end units so I could come back down. Meanwhile, Ricky dies miserably for no particular reason. But they're going to get in some more damage here, it looks like. Yep. I don't kill these minions very fast on my own, especially the upgraded ones. And I don't have any sustain. So I'm eventually going to grab a Mask of Death, but the sustain it offers is not that amazing. They still have some more deep dark fantasy revenants over here. But Hazelet has Big Bad Voodoo to kind of slap this up a little bit. There is a hippogriff over here for reasons unknown. And Ricky is working very hard to kill these turtles. These guys do have Frost Nova, I think, so I don't know why they're not using them on the fairy dragons. The hard-coded HP shit and the unit targeting for spells is one of the more asinine things. Oh yeah, these guys give money to, I think, summon dead, raise dead from those creep camps. The Revenants, I think, in particular. They don't get orders to attack like the other minions do, so they kind of just sit there. Kind of like these guys. So they spend quite a bit of money. That was a lot of the money that I had saved up, I think. High Zealot doesn't have a lot. No, I still have close to 10k, so I've got a lot. HKS has got quite a bit. Steak is also sitting on a lot. He's been waiting to shop. Whereas the enemy team, Rainbow is sitting at 5k. I thought Loli's pretty rich. Q's got a little bit, and Ricky doesn't have that much. So, Ricky is spending a bunch of it on towers here and there. We are unfortunately spared another Ricky death, sadly. And came down here to deal with these. Clear up. Probably grab another axe or something like that, I think. Or had enough money for it anyways. Let's see if that Loli is... he's got kind of like a weird mixed build at the moment. But I think he's going to end up building like pure tank physical at that stage. Meanwhile, we still have some upgraded minions over here because they haven't replaced these buildings yet, even though they've got a lot of money. So this lane is still pushing pretty hard against them. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash has gone very attack speed heavy and doesn't have too much base damage other than the True Shot aura from this, which, I mean, that is giving him kind of a lot. He has plus 128. So I'll be engineering upgrade in there too. I need autism. Well, I am a certified autist. Oh yeah, I was instantly killed over here. I wasn't really paying attention in this game. I certainly thought that Loli was a lot squishier than he actually was, because I never actually looked at people's inventory in this. I do not know what Ricky's doing, but he's very, very determined to do it. I think it's a net like 10 damage, 15, 12. Every rotation. Yeah, it was also laggy too, but I know HKS gets that lag, but I think most people get that lag at this point. I'm still watching our frame rate just drop to 70 from nowhere randomly. Still mines over here. I guess Q is mostly just trying to like push and farm camps or something. He never really does a lot of aggressive pushing. So why does your snack have a man portrait? This is when I discovered that in the game. But nobody was really fazed by that, so I guess it's been an old bug because blizzards. Why would they fix bugs? So they're gonna clear out this. I guess Steak is gonna cash in on some items. Ricky is still buying clarity potions, even though he has 2 surgical masks and has 3 inventory slots. He could put not potions in like a bong or something. But don't tell him that. He's obviously not paying attention. It's arguable if he even remembers to use them anymore because he's using mass teleport more often. Only now are they going to start replacing some of these structures in the bottom. So they've been continuously having to police this unnecessarily, even though they've had the money to replace them. So that's kind of what is keeping the map sort of stable against them, even though the middle and top lane are consistently pushed against us. So I ended up taking Avatar of Vengeance just to have a little bit more tanking power against the waves in particular. Not really a PvP thing. Steadily working that turtle, slapping him to death. TGS is trying his darnest to make cluster rockets work. He's kind of just not really beefy, but not really very smart either. I guess he really is your typical bong smoker. He narrowly escapes. So, we're gonna start killing Krabnar now. The enemy team is powerful enough that they can easily kill Krabnar if they group up, but it keeps pressure in one spot. So that's kind of really the point. It's just to keep applying pressure to them so they don't destroy half of our base again. I always thought those carrion beetles belonged to Thaloli, but no, they belong to Q, and they're still level 4. We kill Krabnar very easily, the two of us. Mostly due to the stuns. Meanwhile, even with Critical Strike, Rainbow Dash is struggling against these turtles with his nearly full inventory because, yeah, it doesn't really have sustain. Owl. I think it is Ricky's, actually. It's from his units. But I don't think we have any way to destroy the trees. High Zealot is going to get pinned between crabs. So we have a little wave coming over here between the faceless one. Rainbow is murdered. We just find him there and just blow him up. He was kind of like sitting there doing something. Probably hitting a bong, honestly. Or maybe unpacking some chicken tendies. You may leave Costco, but Costco never leaves you. So we're going to grab some stuff from here. You can see my inventory is starting to shape up quite a bit. Eventually, I will get rid of the Ilaria's Flute of Accuracy. I don't get rid of it yet because I don't think I can afford to replace it quite yet. Because I think I might have paid for some building, or I'm going to be, I'm not really sure. Alright, there was an alliance wave that was just in here waiting for us. So I went to kill the Earl. The armor shred makes this very trivial. But in the meantime, they're doing quite a bit of damage to our base. Level 4 upgrades versus level 3. Yeah, their upgrades are definitely ahead. They're going to start hitting that power spike soon. So, his lot doesn't really do anything, and Stake doesn't really have much in the way of splash, so clearing that out is going to take a while. So that gets cleaned up. HKS dies miserably. He was over here and just fell over dead. I died. Oh, I guess I was over there and fell over dead too. We went to push with that and we just got blown up by the massive point and click CC. And Stake is going to do something. So, Nerdle's over here, but it's going to die pretty easily. The Hydras are over here. They may not die as easily as they do a little bit more damage. Well, they're not very tanky at the moment, so... I guess they'll die terribly. The crab, on the other hand, has some sustain to him, I think. At least he attacks a little bit faster and regenerates a little bit faster. So, since nobody's over there to murder him, he's kind of just slowly mincing through the wave. Q is down here, but he's kind of cock-blocked by his own minions at the moment. HKS arrives, and now Krabnar has command aura. But he's getting stun locked. Q unlearned cleaving attack. Ricky bought a sapper. Do you think this sapper will live to do anything? It might. Ricky won't though. Oh, it died. An effort was made, I guess. Rainbow Twiddle is on the prowl. What gnarly things does he have planned? Apparently not defending his base. Although he may not need to go back. Well, that building's dead. He decides to... Oh, nope. He's got second... Oh, no, HKS is dead. Oh, that lolly's dead. Krabnar got the last pinch. No fucks given. I'll just take this crab, he says. I realize this. Wait a second. This crab tickles. It's okay. He also tickles. Meanwhile, inside their base, crisis continues. Crisis City. Just like that one really good Sega game. And eventually he gives up on that and decides to go for the Hydras. Hi, Rick. Actually, since the Hydras, I think some of them were already dead, he does manage to get in quite a bit of damage. Oh. Oh my god. Ricky summons a menagerie. Krabnar is unamused. As you can see, all my shots go all over the place. None of them actually do damage to Ricky. I wondered why. It seemed like I could never kill him, and that's why. I thought he built tanky or something. He didn't. It's just... Incinerate breaks the game. It shouldn't, but it does. By the way, Krabnar's ranged attack does like 1,000 base damage with all those auras. But eventually we're forced to retreat. That did like no damage at all. Those demolishers, on the other hand, will do quite a bit if they hit. I really wanted this Frenchman. That attack hit him. Dude got fucking trolled, literally. No, they all died. I'm not even sure what killed them. Maybe the Holy Archer. The catapults want to shoot at Ricky, not the fucking workshop. Meanwhile, they have a push formulating up here, because, yeah, see, they spiked already to the 6 upgrades. We're at level 5, though, so we're not too far behind. So, Hizzalot and I can actually manage to hold this off, just barely. It's mostly because of Frost Armor, really. HKS is still around here harassing Ricky, trying to suck him dry, but Rainbow Dash just kind of like point and clicks and he dies instantly. So, the kill that way are pretty easy. I was gonna go direct stake towards Krabnar again, since That did some damage and kept them in one spot, so that's letting us get some pressure in the other waves. But we need to not die in the process. So Snake is over here killing his Hydras. He's now at a stage he can solo this, especially thanks to the mini Infernal. In fact, yeah, it's well over 4,000 hit points. He's a full build now, so... Now we're at the stage where we can start scaling a little bit because of that. Right, like, Ricky should die to me pretty easily if I actually hit him. Steak should be able to kill him quite easily. I don't think that High Zealot can be bursted down very easily at all. I'm not sure where he is. Q is pretty fat, but doesn't really have a lot of damage. HKS is pretty squishy and still lacking a full build. Not sure where his lot is. Where are you? Over here. Yeah, so his lot has a little bit of tankiness. Still pretty light on items. This is actually one of the rare games that I had all my abilities maxed out at some point, as opposed to one of them really lagging behind. So I ended up converting a lot of that excess money I started floating into that before getting items, even though Critical Strike was worthless. They finally rebuild all these structures. But we're going to have another crab momentarily. It's going to just shove them back. So this is the kind of problem the map currently has, is that if you can control the top, at this stage in the game, you don't have a reason to go to bottom. Unless you need that one shop with the items in it. That shop adds a little bit of incentive there for mid and a little bit of late game. If you're like, you know, his a lot or HKS, you're not fully maxed out and you want like another barrel. But otherwise, the best camps, like the Hydras and the two specials, are up top still. So if you can control that, you can almost ignore the bottom of the map completely, because these guys don't push that hard because they don't have sustain. The only thing they really have is the raised it. So I ended up stun locking Rainbow Dash here. I did less damage than him, but I was able to stun him to death. I'll commonly forget I have the eggplant because I basically never build that or never buy it. Killing him is important because it lets us put more pressure up top, and they're actually gonna finally... That may have been one of Q's only deaths in the game. That may have been his first death. Maybe his only death, I'm not sure. So Crab is back up. That's going to shove this out. I don't have mass teleport or anything, so I'm not terribly mobile. HKS attempts to do damage. Sucks Ricky and is just instantly killed. He's being made immortal. So, yeah, he's soloing the Urdle. The Urdle is regenerating, but it's not quite enough at this stage. Doesn't even need the armor shred. So I'm down here with Crab. It's pretty safe to be with a Crab. Pretty much nobody can kill me. I mean, if they kill me, they're probably going to die to the Crab for it. Which is honestly not a bad trade when it's only 4v4. Because the Crab will... The Crab will do damage to their base a lot more than I will. So, you know, if you stop them from killing the Crab, then yeah, that's a good trade. Unfortunately, several of them have mass teleports, so getting rid of Q is a lot harder, but you can see when they stand still and I can actually hit them, the damage is not too terrible because of all the bonuses I have. So the Crab scuttles upwards, starts nibbling. I don't actually have Command Aura. I did not take Command Aura because I never got rid of Incinerate. I think I saw Steak had Command Aura and I decided not to take it. I think I had intended to get rid of Incinerate and take Commandora, but then I accidentally unlearned Critical Strike and said fuck it, because that would take me so long to rebuild it. They do end up dragging Krabnor into here, and he's gonna die. Taking a complementary archer along the way. Catapults are gonna start melting. We don't really have demolish upgrades at the moment. We might have like a couple of them, but the auras alone are enough. HKS gets murdered by all the point and click. And I'm gonna die to point and click as well. Meanwhile, on top lane, this is dying. They are pushing mid lane. There's kind of a lot in mid lane at the moment. So it looks like it's pretty heavily in our favor, but we have actually taken castle damage. I think before they took any at all. And I think that's full for them. So they were on our castle. We did take some damage. That center pushing has been getting to us a fair bit. Because again, I'm the only one who really does wave clear, and it's not really that much, so you often find high Zealot down there just trying to stall it out. And now there's upgraded stuff. We got the money to replace this, so we definitely got a huge surplus of money. Technically, they do too. It's just Ricky is not really spending it. He's got 5,000. They could replace these and protect it, but they're fighting Erdls at the moment. HKS has arrived. Erdl got some big crits in there, but can't really kill Q that quickly. They do end up melting down the buildings that they did replace. That's kind of a worst case scenario for them, really. Ricky's tower is stepped on. So I was going to go back to the crab right away again. HK's trying to get some big suck time in. Ricky dies. The Earl is trying its best to get rid of these towers. But it is dying slowly. Rainbow takes 2 crits and dies instantly. So the Erdl dies at great cost. They never rebuilt the bottom. They do have a Deathbringer over here just kind of smoking weed, you know. Stake took Doom. It's just for a little bit of extra summons there. Push out. This is being kind of rebuilt. They've pushed bottom a little bit, but yeah, we still have upgraded minions here, so. It's fucking lobsters. This map needs walruses. That's what it needs. Ricky brings out his menagerie again, but it's going to die miserably. Rainbow Dash is actually taking cold arrows. I haven't really felt like he needed to catch anybody in this game. So we took the crab once more, but it's shown it's very difficult for the crab to actually survive. I attempted to ambush him here, but there's a problem. First of all, Incinerate doesn't hit moving targets. Second of all, he's tankier than I expected, so when I do actually hit him, it didn't really do too much. Also, at this stage, Q does do a bit of damage. So that didn't really go as well as I was expecting. Mistake is power walking over here to destroy his sons. They still didn't rebuild anything down here. They just abandoned it, even though Ricky has almost 8,000 gold at one point. Rather than like buy himself items or something so he does more damage, perhaps, or replace his base, he dumps all of his money into summon these units here, whose only purpose really is to feed us money when they die. It is an extremely strange tactical decision on behalf of the Frenchman. I'm afraid I don't think I'll ever be able to understand his genius. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash is getting stun locked. Oh, these guys. Oh, this guy does have True Sight. Doesn't have Bash, though. There was a little bit of an exchange. Ricky was murdered. Their base, by the way, is dying terribly. Rainbow Dash is getting sassed by a Walter Elemental. Meanwhile, their base is slowly dying to the infernal cannons that deal like nearly 600 top end. But Stake is summarily executed, and they lose their True Shot aura. The crab nibbles away at the various lobsters. It throws other crabs at Ricky's shit defiantly, but eventually it succumbs. I think a lot of Ricky's peasants might have actually died. There's a couple over here, though. Ricky returns to life to die another day. So, they haven't really had a real unified effort to push yet. Rainbow Dash has kind of been doing his own thing, trying to get items or something. And Ricky is French. And Thaloli has just kind of been doing whatever. And Q has just been trying to run interference. So it's not really like a pointed effort on their team. Whereas in ours, High Zealot is kind of doing the same thing that Q is doing. But since he has actual support abilities, anybody that he's with becomes easily able to handle any individual here. And usually able to 2v2 pretty reliably. Since at this stage we're tanky enough to not get instantly bursted unless it's both Ricky and someone else. But I mean, Ricky doesn't really have the finesse to like follow up. And Thaloli always burns his abilities at max range, so he always telegraphs when they're going to attack. So their damage is very like averaged out as a result. And although I'm pretty squishy because I don't really have anything in the way of health, it's I'm usually only dying when I'm on my own at this stage. The bigger point for them, though, is the fact that they refuse to replace these buildings. So not only are we taking the crab quite often, the minions are always upgraded and pushing pretty hard against them, allowing us to constantly go to other points in the map and force them to respond to us. They're basically asking to lose at this stage. I don't know what the attack speed cap in this map is, but I feel like it's kind of low because I feel like 3 cat spots should be giving him more attack speed than it is. Oh shit, Artificial Knight Lameo. So they're gonna push down there, which may have the crab. I don't know if the crab was down there or if he already died or what. I don't think we grabbed him again. But they're gonna push down there while we are annihilating top. And that's all their actual damage down there. Their reliable damage anyways. As Ricky was just murdered by a stake going into their fountain. At this stage, Q can't really do too much. He can slow this down, but he can't really stop it. The middle lane is also finally pushing in our advantage because I have a level 3 Avatar of Vengeance down there to help it. They're getting some damage in on here, but while they do have spell damage and wave clear, only Rainbow Dash does damage and all these defenses are still fresh. At this stage, with the Hydra, the Doomguard, and myself attacking this, it's going to die quite quickly, and they won't even get the barracks down. So, that was kind of a clean-cut game where it felt like after a point they just wanted to lose because they just stopped rebuilding their base. I don't know about that. I can view the profile for the Horde. The application encountered an unexpected error. To help us identify the problem, please describe what you were doing when the error occurred. LMAO. Yeah, the game crashed when I attempted to add there. What more evidence do you need that this piece of shit was never tested? Holy hell.